click record and share my screen, which is a mess. Okay. All right, guys. Guys, tonight I decided that I am going to address some of those fears that we had in the KB that we had mentioned. Just because I feel like before you can really dive into logistics of anything in this business, one of the first things you have to embrace and sort of feel and know is present is this idea of fear. And so I know for me, like when I think of my journey with coaching and the fears that I had in the beginning, they transition, they don't go away. The fear is always present. It doesn't mean it stops existing as you grow your business. It's just that they shift and they change and they mold over time. So it's more so just focusing on how can I cut through this fear and really focus and have faith that what I am doing, when I do these vital behaviors that everybody keeps telling me about, I'm going to be successful. And so tonight, that's really what I want to approach with all of you, that I really want to talk about, because I get it. Like, I think of anyone, I get it more than anything. I'm a sensitive person. I'm a blue by nature. And so fear is something that is always very present for me. And I just want to share with you some things that I have done that have helped me deal with it to continue to grow. So that's what we're addressing tonight. But of course, I want to make sure that I shout out the coaches, the top coaches of the week this week. Quite a good week this week. And if you'll notice, there's quite a few coaches who are new to the board. We have consistent coaches who are constantly on the board doing something amazing. And when you see these names, when you see these coaches over and over on these boards, send them a message, say, hey, what are you doing that you're so consistent with your business? Like, what's allowing you to sort of drive forward? How are you actually doing this? And I can guarantee you that anyone on this list would be more than happy to answer that question for you. Just reach out to them and ask them, what are you doing? What are some of the things that you are making sure that you're doing to be successful? All right, so quick announcement. I wanted to make sure you guys knew. I don't think I have posted the link yet in the KB, but I'm going to host a 3-day virtual sneak peek. My goal is to have 100 people check it out. So as a team, as a collective team, to have 100 people, which means, can we all commit to bringing 5 people or 10 people into the event? And so over those 3 days, I'm going to be sharing testimonials of coaches who have experienced success, whether in a transformation or whether in, their businesses. I'm going to be talking about, how my personal business has grown over the last couple of years. I'm going to be talking about why the KB is different. And one thing that I'm going to make sure that I really talk about, and that I want you guys to understand too, is a huge selling point, is we're a small team with big team benefits. So you guys know we're affiliated with the Dream Team. This weekend, we're heading out to a retreat. We have corporate representation there. The top coach in the organization is going to be there. That is an amazing selling point to talk about. Like, it's a small team, it's a growing team, but we still have these benefits of being part of a larger organization, still having corporate that we're able to communicate to and through with our upline. Great selling points too with that as well. So what is coaching event? It's a small group that's set up on Facebook. It's a private group. I'm going to run it for 3 days, answering those things that I just mentioned and closing it out with a coffee and conversation at 11 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday, the 27th. And I have found that the coffee and conversations have been really good. I just basically do a very quick Q&A of commonly asked questions about coaching. And then I really dive into, hey, there's no perfect time. It's not going to all line up and everything just be perfect. And so I have found that I have had a higher closing rate when I do these 3-day events with the closing of a coffee and conversation. So here's what I would suggest you do. Create an event on your Facebook page or on your like page. Make sure that it's public and challenge yourself. Set a goal for yourself to invite a certain number of people into the event. Tell them, hey, my upline coach, she's hosting this event. I can't wait to share with you more about it. I think you would be amazing. And tell them why you think they would be an amazing coach. And if they say no, it's not for them, don't stop there. Say, okay, I totally understand. Do you know anyone that might be interested? Do you know anyone who is really into health and fitness, or somebody who is really motivated or driven or has talked about making an extra income? Take it that extra step forward and make sure that you're telling yourself, okay, well, maybe I want one or two. Raise your freaking bar and say, no, I want to have 10 there. I want to have 20 there. I want to have 30 there. Because when you raise your bar, you're going to set the expectation higher, and you are just going to have better results. So make sure that you are inviting to this event. After the call, I'll make sure to put that direct link in there so you can do it as well. I personally am committed to having 20 people in this group. That is the bar that I have set for myself. So I encourage each of you to rise up and say, all right, so I'm going to do that too. Like if Katie's going to do it, I'm going to do that too. Okay, so a couple of quick announcements. So I know that I am like the queen of preaching Success Club. I know I say it all the time. I know I swear by it, but you guys, this is so critical to our businesses. And so I looked at the board and I went, wow, that's great. We have lots of people on the board with 2 points or 3 points or 4 points. We don't have a lot of people on the team that have actually achieved Success Club halfway through the month. We have to say, all right, am I committed to making this happen? Am I committed to achieving this goal? Am I committed to really making sure that I am doing those vitals every day? And if it's saying that, okay, you have to invite 2 as a vital, maybe I need to invite 5 or 6 or 7 and expand your market. You know, are you wearing your shake and share when you're out at the grocery store? Are you challenging yourself to talk to someone you haven't talked to in a while? You know, are your posts, are you doing those follow-ups that we talk about? Because it's so easy for people to slip through the cracks. That's really where we want to focus, is every month, just making sure we're committed to helping 3 people to drive our businesses forward. This is definitely the one thing in my business that I've made sure, no matter what, at the end of the day, it always gets done. That is always something that I make sure is done. So congrats to Barb, who is at SC18 for the month already. Rachel Harvey, and if you guys don't know, if you follow her on Facebook, she's a diamond coach in our organization. She's actually in China this week. She just adopted her baby girl, Mia, from China, and they just got her today. So you've got to check out. She did a great blog post. It's called Gotcha Day. I posted it in the team page, but it's such a cool story. So, but shout out to everybody who's on the board. We have Ro at 10. We have Jess at 9. Lauren at 8. Jenna, Michaeline, Danielle, Brandy, and Danielle N. Angle. I don't know. Do I have 2 Danielles? I think Danielle, is that your mom on the board too this month? So, all right. And I also just wanted to make sure that I included some other people who are talking about those rewards of Success Club. So definitely make sure you check those out. So important. Let's make sure that we're committed to getting it done, help each other out, give each other tips, motivation, whatever you guys need to get it done. Okay. And just so you guys know, this company does a great job of recognizing those successes. When you're hitting Success Club, they're like, all right, we want to reward you. This month, they're giving you a Shakeology apron. It's great for promos. It's great for in the kitchen. You hit Success Club 5, you're getting the Shakeology apron. If you are going to Summit, though, they're doing something really cool. At Summit, there's this store that they have called The Core, and The Core has all the new releases in it. It has all of these, you know, all of the new shirts and workout gear that's available. But what happens is the lines get really long. And so they created what's called a fast pass. So kind of, I guess, like Disney, but the top 250 SC points, diamond and above, and the top 750 SC points, ruby and below, are going to win a fast pass. So they're going to have extra access into the core line. So, all right. So Hammer and Chisel challenge packs, guys, on sale for $160. T25 is on sale too. And I just want to say, too, the base kit is on sale. So if anyone has thought about purchasing T25 as a coach, you're going to get an additional discount on that, too. I don't remember what the price is off the top of my head, but just a heads up about that. Ultimate Reset, I know somebody was saying that they were having some issues. It actually just went on sale today as a challenge pack for $275. And then our Club Challenge Pack is on sale for $140. So that's 3 months of Beachbody on demand with either the Performance Pack or Shakeology. So there's that. And I just wanted to make sure that I have included some of those Success Club tips for you. So, you know, what are we making sure that we're saying to our customers or doing for our customers? Following up, I know that I use video messages. I have gotten on the phone with quite a few people in the last couple days. I would be lying to you if I said that this month is easy. You know, I have gotten a lot of no's this month, a lot of price objections as well. But that doesn't matter, because the more people I invite, somebody is going to say yes, somebody is going to commit, and somebody is going to get amazing results. But you have to keep going. You can't let those no's deter you. They're just not nows. You know, they need a little more information, or it's just not the right month for them. Always come back around to it. Take some of these ideas from the Success Club SOS, and I'll gladly post this in the team page too, and say, okay, you know, how can I make sure that I'm going to hit this? How can I make sure I'm doing this? And take these little bullet points and just apply them throughout the rest of the month, so that you don't get caught in the 11th hour going, oh crap, how am I going to make this happen? I know that I am very big about the breadcrumbing, just daily, just showing testimonials, things that people have seen as a result, showing transformations of your customers or people who have been using Beachbody, or your own story as well. And just making sure that you're really leveraging too, not just the bottom of the bag guarantee, but you're leveraging everything they get when they sign up with the challenge pack. You know, it's the first month of Shakeology or the Performance line. It is Beachbody on demand for free for 30 days. It is your nutritional guide. It is the workout that you select. And it is you, the secret sauce to success. It is you as the coach who is going to be there every day, motivating them, giving them tips, recipes, motivation. Don't undersell yourself. Do not sell yourself short on what you are here for, on what you are providing to your customers. You are worth the investment they're making. If you believe that your coaching is really good, then don't feel bad about what you're asking them to pay. Don't back down from that. You know, if you're truly trying to help people and you're in it for the right reasons, don't back down from what you believe, okay? All right. So, okay, guys, we're going to get into the heart of this call now. What I am going to do is I am going to do what I did with my students when I was teaching, is I would do these memory joggers, right? So I basically want you to just sit quietly for 1 minute. And while you're sitting there, I just want you to just start writing down anything that comes to mind when you think of the word fear in the business. So just, it doesn't matter. It can be as sloppy. It doesn't have to be full sentences. Just write down everything that comes to mind with fear. So I want you to do that. Take a minute to do that now. Okay? Go ahead. And this is your fear. This isn't anybody else's. This is just your fears that you have. All right, put your pens down. We're going to come back to that. But I'm going to share with you something that happened to me, and some of you guys know this story and some of you guys don't. So I'm going to share with you one of the fears that I had and kind of how I got over it, how I sort of embraced it. So I had just finished fighting cancer in 2014. It was August, actually it was September, and I was asked to speak at the leadership event, because I had grown my business while I was fighting cancer. And so there I was, and I was at this turning point, right? Because I knew that I was supposed to go back to the classroom. And honestly, at that time, I was making decent money. I had just matched my salary as a teacher, but it was by no means stable. And it was by no means something that I really thought that I could do. Even though I had had success, I had all these doubts. You know, as a teacher, I was at a good district, so I kept thinking about a couple things. Like, these things kept coming to my mind about why I couldn't leave. Number one, security. I was in a district. I wasn't going anywhere. I had security in that position. I was there for 30 years and I was good. I had no problems. I had this great pension. I liked my colleagues, you know, they were great. I would enjoy my lunch break with them, and we would talk about the kiddos, and we would just laugh and sort of have a good time. It was comfortable. It was very predictable. Year after year, I would make tweaks to the curriculum, but for the most part, it was the same thing. Kiddos really rarely change. It was for the most part predictable, right? It was safe. And I remember thinking, you know, I have summers off. I went to college thinking I would have my summers off and enjoy. So it was this very safe, comfortable life. And so there I was on stage at leadership, and I have no idea why, but out of my mouth came the words, "and I'm leaving the classroom." And so for somebody who had gone back and forth about this for months, I didn't know if I could actually do it. There was this gut feeling while I was talking on stage and I was doing something that I loved that told me, this is where I'm supposed to be. You know, this feels right. And I knew that there was this accountability piece to being on that stage and saying it, because I knew that somebody would see that video at school, and I knew that somebody would know that I had basically left the classroom in front of 1,000 people before I ever said it to the school district. So there I was thinking to myself, why did I do that? You know, why did I take that chance? You know, I have this great job, I have a pension, I have all of this stuff, and people are going to judge me. They're going to look at me like I'm crazy. I left the classroom for an MLM. Like, how could I ever do that? And I realized I had to do it because if I didn't, I would regret it. And I would be living in fear, because that's what comfort does. Because when you think about the comfort that you have in just being mediocre and being status quo, there's no greatness in that. So when we're confronted with these fears that we have a couple of choices. We can face them, or we can flee from them. You know, we can take flight, we can go away, we can pretend that they don't happen, because that's easy. It is really easy to not give in to the fears, and it is really easy not to face them. So with that being said, whether you guys know it or not, you are in the middle of writing your life story. You are in the midst of making your story matter. You are in the middle of doing something great. And right now, you're the one holding the pen. And you're the one every day with your actions deciding if your story you believe matters. Because if you don't believe that your story matters, and you don't believe that you can make an impact on others, you most certainly will not. You have to know from the bottom of your heart that you are making a difference, that you are put here for a reason, that there is something amazing in you, that you are writing your story. You are the one in charge of the pen. You are the one doing the writing. So what's going to hold you back from actually continuing on with writing the story are your fears. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that that phrase where they show a picture, and a lot of people have it tattooed, but there's a semicolon, right? So in punctuation, a semicolon is basically the same thing as a period, but instead it's a choice. A semicolon makes it in a complete sentence. It makes it one sentence. So you have a choice as to whether you want to go on or you want to stop. So when you're writing, are you writing and putting a period at the end and saying, you know what, this isn't for me, it didn't work for me, it's too hard, and giving everything you've got Or are you putting a semicolon in and saying, I'm going to pause, I'm going to think about it, and then I'm going to move on? And so tonight, I really hope that I'm going to go over some of these common fears with you, and you can start to say, all right, I'm ready to go on. You know, this is a fear. It's real. It exists, but I'm ready to face it. And I'm ready to accept the fact that that is just part of growing. That's just part of moving on and going towards greatness. So here are some of the fears that our team had. So I looked at all of these, and I want you to think, like, are any of these on my list? Were any of these some of my fears that I had as well? So as a team, we said, okay, here are some of my fears. I'm afraid this is going to fade out. I am afraid that I am going to stay stagnant in the business. I'm not going to move up. I'm just going to stay status quo. I'm going to stay right here. What if I can't lead people? What if I have this team, this army of people, and I don't know how to lead them? What if people think I'm fake, that I'm being inauthentic? Or what if I forget who I am in the process of trying to, hit Success Club every month? Or, you know what, this market must be saturated. It's too saturated. Everyone knows a coach. I don't want to come off as too salesy. It's too much information. What if my passion doesn't connect with my purpose? And I don't want to live, eat, and sleep Beachbody, just to breathe it all the time. Fears, right? And we're getting so caught up in that what if, and we can become almost so focused on just all of the possibilities and the worries that we don't ever let it come to fruition. We just spend our time worrying about the things that aren't even true. So as I was looking at these fears, I thought, okay, I had that fear. All right, I have that fear. You know what? I actually have that fear now. That is a fear I have. Oh, yep, I have that fear. Fake, yep, I wonder if people think that about me. Okay, what if I forget who I am? Maybe it happened, and maybe I need to refocus on that. And I look at every single one of these, and I say, that was me. I have been there, I have been there, I have been there. Or one of the fears that I didn't list here, and I should have, is what if I end up spending more money than I actually make? And I can attest to that too. So every fear on here is a real fear, and that is okay to have those fears. But what are we going to do about it? What are we really going to do about those fears that we have? Let's start by asking ourselves some real questions, okay? So let's break it down. Number one, ask yourself, what is in my control? What do I have control over? Number two, is my fear an excuse, or is it an actual fear? Number three, what are you doing to work through it? Number four, what is your current mindset? And above all, number five, which is the only thing that's the glue, it's the adhesive, it's what's going to keep you here, is your why. Guys, as somebody who has been in this business for 4 years, on May 3rd, I have seen coaches quit. I have seen people give up. I am in the process of working with a couple of good friends and coaches who are leaving because this is not working for them. And I'm going to tell you, that is not the case. It is the why. It is always going to be the why that brings you back. It's going to be the thing that keeps you grounded. It's going to be what keeps you motivated and moving when it gets hard. Because if you want this, it's going to get hard. And if somebody tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. There are days that this is just freaking hard, okay? So let's kind of walk through each one of these. All right. So I'm going to tell you something else too, and I rarely tell you this. I almost gave up. I almost gave up the year that I was shooting. I had just become a diamond coach, and one of my good friends, she was one of my very first coaches. I had been in this process of, no, it was the year that I was going towards elite. So yeah, I was actually pushing for 5-star, and I was actually really very much thinking of giving up. And the reason was a good friend who had been a coach. She was very successful. She was very good at what she did. She gave up. She quit. And I internalized that so much because I was so sad. Because it wasn't that she just gave up on herself. It wasn't just that she gave up on her why. It was that she had taken all of that hard work that she put in, and she stopped. And by hard work, I mean that she had put on close to the 100 pounds that she had lost. And for me, that was devastating. That was hard. It was hard to watch. It was hard to see. And it was hard to know that there was nothing that I could do about it, that I wanted it more than her at that point in her life. And so this goes to number one, and that is the controllable, right? So as a coach who was at that point where I just kept thinking to myself, I'll do anything for her to stay. I will do anything. I will go over to her house and I will cook her meals, and I will do anything to help her be successful, not just as a coach, but as a challenger again. I wanted it so badly for her that it hurt me so bad to think that she wasn't going to do it. And so I think of number one, that fear, that we want to control everything. We want everything to align. We want that person who said they were going to order the challenge pack on the date that they were going to order the challenge pack to order the challenge pack, and they don't. It's out of your control. You put a post up and somebody blocks you because they don't like your post. It's not in your control. Somebody returns a challenge pack because they just, and then drops off the face of the earth. It's not in your control. So it is so true, right? It's 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how we react to it. Are we going to face those obstacles that we have, those things that just are just inconveniences and just setbacks and all of those issues that we have? Are we going to just say, okay, this is not a cool situation. I'm not happy about it. It's a setback. Or are we going to say, I'm done. I give up. Obviously this isn't working for me. You can only control how you approach a situation. Someone else's opinion of you is not your business. So when you go into your Facebook page and you start posting on Facebook and you start sharing on Facebook and someone has an opinion of you, are you going to let their feeling of you dictate your belief for this business? Are you going to let it have an impact on everything else you can do with this business? Control the freaking controllable. What do you have control over? So when you go back to those fears, we just talked about, will this fade out? Is that in your control? Stagnant, is that in your control? Can I lead people? Is that in your control? What if people think I'm fake? Is that in your control? If you actually look at these fears, 50% of them are in your control. So you can be afraid of them, but that there's nothing you can do about them. So you just have to say, all right, it is what it is. I got to move on. All right, let's talk about reality check, right? So some of those fears that we talked about, are we trying to talk ourselves out of doing it? Here's the deal. If you want it, there's going to be tough times. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be months when you don't recruit a coach. There's going to be months when you are really close to Success Club and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to hit it. And so you start kind of going into your mind and saying to yourself, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need to do this. I don't matter. The company doesn't need me. Those challengers that committed to me, they can go to somebody else. Are you starting to make excuses for your fears? Are you starting to say, I can't, because it's easier to say, I can't do this than it is to actually face what you want? You have to really say, okay, is my excuse paralyzing me? Is it holding me back because I am so afraid of what I could potentially do? It's just that self-doubt. It is really easy to talk yourself out of something. It is extremely easy to talk yourself out of what you really want. And it comes in the form of excuses. Well, I didn't hit Success Club this month because, I don't know, I was really busy. Come on, guys. It's inviting 2 to 3 people a day. It's the truth. Oh, yeah, I was going to read that personal development, but I just didn't get around to it. Come on, guys. Is that an excuse? Oh, I was going to do my workout, but I didn't have time. Come on, guys. Is that an excuse? Are you making it a priority or are you excusing it? You know, I even think about on this call, and I haven't even looked to see how many people are on the call, but I think to myself how quickly people talked about their fears. But when we give a solution to the fear, like, come on the call. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of these fears. How many people got on the call? It's easier to say, this is my fear, and allow the fear to become an excuse, right? It is. So ask yourself, is what I listed on my paper an excuse, or is it a valid fear? All right. So what do you do, right? What do you do to work through your fears? So you have this list of things that you're afraid of, things that are on your mind, things that you're struggling with, things that, you know, you either do or don't have control over. But what are you doing to work through them? You know, are you just rehashing them all the time? You know, no one's listening to me. I don't have, you know, my audience doesn't want to see this. I'm not being seen on Facebook. Are you using those fears and letting it sort of paralyze you, become an excuse, or are you saying, okay, this is the reality. What am I doing about it? Am I working through the fear? So let's say that, for example, let's say that one of your fears is this market is saturated. Number one, let's be realistic. It's not saturated. There are a billion people, I don't know how many billion people in this world, right? And so in our country alone, is there still an obesity epidemic, or have we solved it because the market is saturated? Obviously, it's not saturated. What does happen, though, is people around you start to see what they're doing, or you're doing, or you know people who know coaches. You have to expand your network. How do you expand your network? You start Googling. You start going to YouTube. You start learning how do you expand your network. And you start learning more. Okay, like page training, right? So I offered that this month. And how many people are saying, all right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to figure it out. Or are we saying, nope, no one's hearing me on Facebook? So you have to really say to yourself, like, how am I going to work through these fears? How am I actually going to work through them? Or am I just going to let them stop me? Because we can rehash the same fears over and over. We can keep saying the same things over and over. But if we're not doing anything to work through them, we're paralyzed. It's not going to do anything. We're not going to move forward. We're going to stay stagnant, like one of our fears has said. Okay, so what do I do to work through some of my fears? Number one, first and foremost, is personal development. So my go-tos, right? So right now, I'm reading the 10X Rule. I just started it. It's by Grant Cardone, and it's a great book for talking about how if you want to do anything great, you have to put forth more effort than you actually thought. Joyce Meyer, Battlefield of the Mind. When I'm not in a good frame of mind, I turn to this book. I have a fear of leading, right? I want to make sure that I'm leading a powerful team, leading a self-sufficient team. And so when I don't know what I'm doing, which, guys, a lot of the time, I don't know what I'm doing, I turn to John Maxwell. Take the Stairs is another one. The Compound Effect. Go back to that one if you're looking for something in terms of how to grow a multi-level marketing business. Go to Grow Pro. But you have to devote time to doing it. And we say 10 minutes a day. It might be 30. It might be 1 hour. Are you listening to those national wake-up calls? You have to really give yourself that gut check and say, am I doing that vital? Here's the other thing. And my mentor, actually, he came into town. He came into Pittsburgh this past weekend. And so he said to me, Katy, you really have to be cognizant of your thoughts. You really have to be cognizant of how you speak to yourself. And he said the most ridiculous thing, and I have done it every day since then. And he said to me, you have to look at yourself every day in the mirror, and you have to say your biggest fear, and you have to say how you conquer it, right? So if one of my fears is leading a team, said, you need to look in the mirror every day and you need to say, I'm a great leader. I am a great leader. I am a great leader. Because what we know is really how we think becomes our reality, right? So what we believe becomes our reality. So if we believe the market is saturated, it's saturated. If we believe that we aren't a good leader, we aren't a good leader. If we believe that, I don't know, what were some of those other fears? If we believe that we're going to stay stagnant, we're going to stay stagnant. You know, you have to understand that your belief is your reality. If you're saying to yourself, I'm never going to hit Success Club, I'm never going to be a diamond coach, I'm never going to be an emerald coach, you're right. You aren't, because you just told yourself you're not. Actually, my friend Val, we were on a Zoom call yesterday, and she said, you know, Katy, I went outside, it was dark out, and I had to get the dog off the leash. And she said, the whole time I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to step in dog poop. I'm going to step in dog poop. I know I am going to step in dog poop. And wouldn't you know, she stepped in dog poop. Your words become your reality. So you have to be very aware of how you are talking to yourself, what you are thinking. And when these fears kind of creep in, word them out and then say, okay, is this a reality? Like, is this a legit fear, or am I trying to make an excuse? You know, is this a fear that is in my control, or is it not in my control? Is this a fear that I can work out with a success partner or with my mentor coach? Or is this something that I need to talk to somebody else about? Invest in your business and in yourself. So personal development, I spend money on. I get books, or I go to the library and I get books. When there's a program coming out, I get the program. You know, even if I'm not excited about it, I've already heard the jibber jabber of Country Heat and how some people don't want to do it. But if you aren't going to be excited about it and embrace it, why would anyone else want to embrace it with you? You have to really focus on how you're talking to yourself, how you are really investing in your business too. Setting your goals, your non-negotiables each month, and starting each month and saying, this is what I want to achieve. And here's what I need to do to break it down to be able to do it. And you have to treat the business more than a matter of convenience. Expect your paycheck to be a reflection of that. If you're only working the business when it's convenient for you, when you feel like it, your paycheck will be a direct reflection of that. If you are putting forth the effort, you are tracking your business, you are doing those vital behaviors, you are checked into a training group, your paycheck will reflect that. But you have to make sure you are lined up and connected through what those vitals are, so you can work through some of those fears. Okay, and I went through this kind of connected to what I just said, but your mindset. What you believe becomes your reality. So what you are saying to yourself is your reality. If you say that you are a freaking rock star every day, you are going to train yourself to believe you are a freaking rock star. And then you are going to start to act like you're a freaking rock star. And when you're a freaking rock star, you're unstoppable. But it starts with this. It starts with that mental piece of, I have to just do it. I am a rock star. I am a rock star. I am a rock star. And just another side note of a story, you know, guys, like, you know my story. You know that I went through cancer. And so when I was going through that, all I kept thinking was, I want to be a survivor. I want to be a survivor. I want to be a survivor. And I just kept saying that to myself. So what happened was I started acting like a survivor. I started acting like a survivor before I was finished fighting cancer. I started fighting harder. I started thinking about how I could inspire other people who were going through that same fight. And because of that, I just started to shift my mindset to winning. It started to shift into results. And that is exactly what we need to do with the business, is we need to make sure that our thoughts become our belief becomes our words become our actions, and the actions are what give us the results. But it starts here. Every freaking day, we just keep working that. And last but not least, and I know I preach this, but it evolves, right? So your why for when you signed up as a coach is maybe not the same as your why now, why you're a coach now. but you have to take some time to really dig into this. Really think about, why are you here? Why does it matter to you? And why do you coach? Because when you are rooted in this, when you understand your why this particular business is the one for you, rather than going to the quickest fix that you can think of, why are you in this business? You know, is it because you've had success with the programs, or because maybe you know what it's like to be overweight and you want to help those people who are overweight? Maybe it's that you really want to help your husband get into shape because he's overweight. Or maybe it's because you know that you are making a profound impact doing more than just selling eyelashes. And I don't mean to say that way, but I just mean that you have to really say, why does this company matter to me? Because nobody is going to be able to stop you from letting those fears get to you but you. No one. We can do any training. We can be involved with any training. I could do any retreat. We could go to summit. We could do rah, anything. But at the end of the day, you are going to be in front of your computer. You are going to be the one having conversations with people, or at a fit club. And you are the one who has to understand that the rejections happen. It is not a reflection of you. The only thing that you can do is control the controllable. And your why is your controllable. Your why is what's going to evolve and shift and change over time. But if you are always rooted in that evolution and what that is, you will always have a solid foundation for your business. If you do not have that solid why, expect that the tide's going to come in and you're going to have nothing to stand on. Because I'm telling you guys, it does get hard. I'm telling you it gets hard. But you are a rock star, and rock stars push through the hard stuff, but only when they are founded on your why. Okay. So final thoughts for you guys tonight. And I know that this was kind of one of those gut check calls. This was definitely one of those calls where it's like, oh, she kind of called me out on that a little bit. But we need to start doing a couple things. We need to become a team of people who don't let fear win, because I'm not that girl. I will not lead a team of people who are afraid of failure. I can't do that. I won't do that. And that's not me. And you guys know that giving up, I don't play that game. I don't do that. This is my business. This is what I'm going to do. So I'm in it. And if you're in it with me, I'm excited and I'm happy, but this like hokey pokey stuff doesn't really work for me. So final thoughts. Let's start taking some ownership of some of our fears, right? Let's start thinking about, what do I have control over? What's not in my control? What's my mindset like? What are some of the bigger issues? Am I making excuses for myself? And then when we have those fears start to kind of trickle in, let's do some personal development. If it's leadership you fear, get some John Maxwell. If it's just those basics of getting rejected, and guys, geez, I am not kidding. I think I've had 30 rejections this month. It's been nuts. But if that's it, we go back to basics, take the stairs, compound effect, the slight edge. We dive into that. You get rid of the woe is me attitude. I don't like where I'm placed, or the attitude where somebody went to another coach instead of me, or I can't find anyone in my network, or it's saturated. You have to get rid of that mentality. And we need to take ownership. We're the business owners. If it was $1 million investment, if you said when you signed up as a coach, I just paid $1 million, I need to make sure I get that money back, would it change the way that you work? Would it change the way that you are actually running your business? This fear that we have is going to keep us paralyzed. It's going to keep us stuck right there where we can't move. And we got to get over that. You have to act. You have to start saying to yourself, I'm a freaking rock star. I'm a freaking rock star. I'm a freaking rock star, until you start to believe it. When you start to believe it, the actions start to happen. And when you start to put forth the actions, you start to have results. This isn't a victim thing. This is not a comparison game where you take down every time. This is your business. You're a freaking rock star. You're unstoppable. You're a freaking rock star. And you have to say that to yourself all the time. And lastly, those fears, give yourself that reality check. Am I doing what I need to do? Or am I making excuses for why it won't work for me? You have so many opportunities at your fingertips. Super Saturday, were you there or did you find a reason not to go? This leadership retreat, did you kind of say, I'm not going to go because I'm afraid I won't be able to meet the criteria? Or did you push for it? Are you setting the bar high or are you putting it low and just striving to meet that low goal? Are you throwing it up there and saying, all right, this is where I want to go. This is how I'm going to get there. Stop the excuses and start saying the fears are real, but I'm not going to let it hold me back anymore. The fears exist, but I need to get outside my comfort zone. And that's where the magic happens. That's where things start to change. There's no good that is going to come from sitting here in the status quo. It's about pushing forward. It's about knowing that you don't want to regret taking this opportunity and saying, it got hard, so I'm going to give up. Let's really refocus on our goals, refocus on our why, get back to the basics, and focus on those things. Guys, that's really all I have tonight. Do you guys have questions for me? Anyone?
I just wanted to say that was awesome.
Thanks. And I do, I think I'm going to cry because I'm definitely having one of those days where I'm like, how sometimes you spin your freaking wheels. You just spin your wheels. You spin your wheels. And I looked at that post and I saw all those fears and I was like, I have that fear. I have that fear. I have that fear. I have that fear. But why am I different? Why am I here and I'm watching my friends give up right now? And the only thing, Hannah, that I can think is I think giving up is complete and utter bullshit. Because I also know that no matter what company you go to, if it's selling unique lashes, Rodan & Fields, LuLaRoe, at some point, it's going to get hard. At some point, it is going to get hard. And you do not have a better opportunity to be in a better team than you do with the one that you are a part of. It's going to get hard. It always gets hard. But then greatness happens when you look back and you say, look what I pushed through. Look at how I hit that moment where I was like, can I do this? And then I freaking did it. Okay, here's another one for you guys. I'll just tell you, these are my failures. I am these team calls, right? I'm like, I have been racking my brain about them. How can I get more than 15 or 20 people on a call? And all I can think is work with the willing. I can't control the number of people who get on the call, but what can I control? I can control my actions. I can control the content I put on the call, and I can control the number of people that I bring in to the organization, into the business. And that's what I focus on. And so as you grow in the business, just know you're going to fail at something. It's going to suck. And then you're going to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you are just going to say, I am a freaking rock star. I am good at this, and I am going to rock at this. I've had a setback, a hiccup, a bump in the road, and I'm going to move on because I know that I am amazing and that I can do amazing things with this business. And that's just how I've just every month just moved forward. Does that help? I get it. The fears are real. I mean, every single one that what they said in the KB, I literally looked at and I was like, yep, had that fear, had that fear, had that fear. But I just, you have to just say it's there. It's part of this business. It's uncomfortable. But I am going to keep going. And you just keep going. You do. Do you guys have anything else? All right, so I will let you guys go, and then I will put the link to the coach, the coach sneak peek for next week in the team page. Does that sound good? All right, so it's just a reminder, you're a freaking rock star. You're a freaking rock star. So before you go to bed, look in the mirror and say it over and over again. And then when you keep saying it over and over again, you're going to start believing it. I promise. You will. For real. I feel like I just scared all of you, and I'm afraid I'm going to go into my back office tomorrow and everyone's going to be like, I canceled. I'm going to be like, well, you're killing me, Smalls. I don't know what to say. I know, Tay. I know.
For me, it's more reassuring to hear all of this talked out. So it's not scary for me. It's just comforting in a way.
Yeah, because everyone goes through it. And I think sometimes we look at leaders or we look at people by their rank and we say like, well, it's easy for them. And it's really not, you know, it isn't. It's just a matter of just, I'm a blue, so I'm extremely sensitive and I tend to like shy away. So I do like 30 minutes to 1 hour of personal development a day. And in fact, in my living room right now, because you guys know, most of you guys know, I was a reading teacher, and I boxed up 4 huge boxes of fiction books because I no longer find a passion for reading fiction like I do for reading personal development. So that was like a big moment for me to pack up those boxes, you know, and to say to myself, like, I need personal development. But that was that thing in my business that I didn't do. You know, when I started, I didn't do it. I didn't do it for a long time. But then once I started really doing it, it made a huge difference. Yeah. The confidence gap. Yep, I have that one here. Yep. Awesome. All right, so I'll post that link. Challenge yourself. Say to yourself, okay, what's the worst thing? Like, I'm just going to ask for referrals. I'm just going to ask people that I haven't really talked to or that maybe liked my like page recently to be part of this sneak peek and see what happens. Just believe you can and you will. Just keep saying it to yourself. So, all right, guys, I'll let you go for the night. I hope everyone has a good night. See you guys.